Hey, this is Ben Linsmith with Head TV, and I'd like to welcome you to our pilot episode of Unexpected Places. We're in my hometown of Norman, Oklahoma. And we are going to meet with a good friend of mine, the mayor of Norman, Oklahoma, who's the youngest mayor in this city's history. Oh, hey, what's up, man? Good to see you.
You too.
So what's happening? So they know. Who are you? What's your business?
I'm Stephen Tyler Holman. I'm the mayor of Norman since July 1st. I grew up in Norman, fourth generation of my family to grow up here. Ended up running for city council when I was 26 years old. Mm-hmm. Had no idea what I was doing, no organization, no money, and ended up getting into a runoff and losing by just 21 votes.
Okay.
So I decided to stay involved in city stuff, kept going to meetings. 2 years later, I ran for city council again, and I won by 28 votes.
Okay.
I got more organized, raised a little bit more money.
What was the vote spread like?
I won 220 to 192.
Okay.
Yeah. So to represent one of the 8 city council districts in a city of 130,000 people.
Yeah.
So
that's not very many people voting.
No, it was not. And the ward I represented is most of the OU campus, University of Oklahoma campus, was in my ward. And so I served 6 terms as the Ward 7 city council member. And then last year decided I was going to run for mayor. Mm-hmm. And I always thought that if it felt like the right time and I felt like people really wanted me to do it, then I would. That was always my response to people that wondered if I'd run for mayor, and so it felt like the right time. Mm-hmm. It's been a long road, going back even before I ran for city council, back to the university days, which is where you and I met.
Yeah,
so,
I'd like to talk about that, but where are we going?
We're going to go down Main Street.
Okay.
And just take a little stroll.
Yeah. Well, let's do it.
All right. Growing up in Norman, downtown was not a place where anything was going on.
Yeah. I mean, I remember half of this being boarded up in the 90s, right?
Oh, yes, yeah.
And there were like chop shops that got busted.
There were, it was
like a lot of weird illegal
the
stuff.
The sidewalks were all busted up, and from the 1930s, they were all cracked. These street lights, most of them didn't work, and the poles were leaning over, and there were like wires that were
Yeah.
It was, and the trees at the time, I don't know if they were Bradford pears, but the birds really loved them.
Yeah.
And so the sidewalks were covered in, bird waste, and and there were really just like, there were some jewelry stores, furniture stores, and the diner, and the Vista, which I really miss and would bring back if I could. There was not much of anything going on. There were no events. There was no art walk. There was no Norman Music Festival, no Fall Fest, none of that. And in the early 2000s, the city came in and redid the sidewalks on this part of Main Street from the railroad tracks down to Porter Avenue, just 3 blocks, replacing the sidewalk, put new decorative lights in, bike racks and benches, and made it look nice. And then pretty much immediately we started seeing private investment in downtown Norman in the buildings. Over here is one of the guest room records.
Yeah.
This building is one of the first I remember. The top floor was covered with a vinyl siding, which was really popular in the 60s for some reason, but they would cover the windows and the brick facade of old buildings with like this vinyl siding. Well, I remember that being removed in the early 2000s after the city had completed this project, and then guest room records going in, and then you just started seeing more and more of restaurants and bars and venues and other things like that coming in instead of offices or empty buildings.
What do you think caused that revitalization?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of a unique story, especially in this part of the country, I think, where most main streets are boarded up, right?
Yeah. Being a university town really helps with that. Not being a real big city either. So Norman is what I describe to a lot of people as big enough and small enough.
Okay.
And if you don't want to live in a small town or in the country, and you also don't want to live in a big city, Norman is like the perfect place.
Okay.
Close enough to a big city, but also close enough to the country and the rural area if you want to get out of town. And with Norman, I think there's always, because of maybe in large part because of the university, an interest in arts and education.
And then what's the university?
And University of Oklahoma.
Okay.
Sooners. And arts and culture and music and things like that. And so I think a lot of the interest for revitalizing downtown was just, we have historic old buildings, we have a place that's centrally located, it's close to the university campus.
Yeah.
And it already exists. We don't have to build out and pave over more farmland. We can reinvest into what we already have. And so I just remember always being really, really fascinated by main streets and downtowns as a kid.
Yeah.
And so anytime I go visit somewhere else, I don't really care what their corporate strip mall on the highway looks like. What corporate chains that they have that we also have. I want to know, what does their main street look like? Do they have any old historic buildings that are really cool?
Yeah.
If it's a big city, what does their skyline look like? What's their iconic tall building? Things like that. And then some towns don't even have a main street. They have no historic strip of buildings that are from when the town started. There's no identifiable place.
And I wanted to actually get into that. Like, how did Norman start? Like, what is the land run? So I live in Texas now, and I thought everybody knew what the land run was.
So the land run was the U.S. government's, what they called Oklahoma unassigned lands at the time. There were people here. There were native tribes that called Oklahoma home, including this area. But the United States government decided to have a land run, basically, where people could show up at the border and then they shoot the gun off, and then you take off with your horse or whatever means of transportation you have, and you claim a stake to whatever property. Norman already existed sort of before the land run because Norman was founded because of the railroad and a railroad surveyor named Abner Norman. But the land run allowed people to come into this area, this territory, and lay a claim to land and start building homes and start building cities and towns. And so that is how pretty much every town in Oklahoma came to existence.
Being a part of like a town city that's so new, has that affected like your reason to be in politics here?
You know, some of the things I think about, because we're not as old, is we don't have, you know, really, really old buildings like some old cities have that can be repurposed.
Yeah.
You know, these buildings are old compared to today.
Right.
But they're not 200 years old.
They're not Roman.
Right. And, you know, they each have their own unique thing, but they're are not that old. And because of that, the city didn't get to establish itself in a more urban kind of way before the establishment of cars. And so by the time Norman started really developing, suburban sprawl and post-World War II really took off, and that we got away from this type of development pattern. This unique style where each building has its own different facade, different texture of the brick, whatever it may be. So that's, for me, what I really love about downtowns and main streets. And things like that.
So some kids get into dinosaurs, and you got into urban development.
Yeah, cities.
Okay.
I started playing with Legos at a young age, and I got to where, for my birthday and for Christmas, all I wanted was Legos.
Okay.
And specifically, I just wanted the city-themed Lego set. The owner of this building decided to get together a few years ago and do this mural. And then, as you can see, part of the mural is peeling off, and so they decided to do another mural within a mural of with the.
So that's one thing I've noticed.
With the Kool-Aid Man, which sounds really good right now.
One thing I've noticed that's like definitely changed since I lived here. Even it was already changing when I moved, but like there are murals everywhere, right?
I wanted to really invest in intentionally getting more murals around the city, not just on public property, but if people have built their own buildings, if they've got a big blank wall, can we get something on there? And so we've seen both public and private funding drastically increase for and just interest overall in murals around Norman. And so,
I live in Austin where there's supposedly a lot of wealth. But here it's like every time I come back into town, it's like, why is this town so clean? You know?
yeah.
And then and stuff like this is going on everywhere. Like, why is Norman different in that way? Especially being in Oklahoma.
You know, we have a lot of our own challenges, certainly. Like every city seems to be dealing with when it comes to housing and homelessness and economic development and financial sustainability for the city. Oklahoma is the only state in the country where cities operate on sales tax revenue only.
Okay.
And so in all other 49 states, cities are able to fund essential services with a combination of sales and property tax and other options.
Okay.
But in Norman and other places, it's sales tax revenue, which is very volatile. It's unpredictable in a lot of ways. And
so does Norman have more sales tax because of the university?
You could say yes, because students spend a lot of money.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, yeah, the students, basically anybody that buys anything in Norman is a Norman taxpayer.
Okay.
If you buy a stick of gum or a soda, you're a taxpayer in Norman.
Yeah.
And that 8.75% is the tax rate in Norman. The city of Norman gets about 4.5% of that. So yeah, anybody that buys anything is funding us. But you think about small towns, there's not very many businesses.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of opportunity for a small town, especially if they're rural and not on a highway or near a bigger city. There's not a lot of opportunity for them to fund anything like we're able to do. They don't have a visitor tax. They don't have a hotel.
Yeah.
You know?
Fair.
And the flip side of that is that in bigger cities like Norman, and us being in a metropolitan area closer to other cities, the sales tax thing pits us against each other to try to see who can lure whatever big box corporate chain.
Okay, so there's competition within the region.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like if you live in Norman, we need you to spend your money in Norman only.
Okay.
And then if you live in Moore, we need you to spend your money in Norman.
Yeah.
And so every town, though, needs the residents of their city to only spend money in their towns, because the essential services that community provides to the residents are paid for by that sales tax revenue. So if a resident of North Norman goes and shops in Moore, then Norman is still having to provide fire service and police protection to that person's house.
Yeah.
But their money is being spent to provide police and fire protection to the residents of Moore.
And nobody should go there, ever.
We're seeing a lot of rapid growth in southeast Norman as you go towards, there's a little town of Noble just south of Norman. The situation the sales tax issue puts us in is that all those residents of those, 300 new homes in North Noble, all of them are shopping at the Walmart in Norman and going to our Starbucks and going to the new Target that'll open down there.
Okay, yeah.
And so they're spending their...
So you're saying Norman is a vampire city, basically?
We're the bigger city. And
yeah.
Noble residents spending their sales tax dollars in Norman is great for us, but how is the town of Noble going to have revenue to pay for police and fire and street maintenance for those new neighborhoods?
And you said, so sales tax, Oklahoma is the only state.
The only one.
Why is that? And what would be better, in your opinion?
It was put into the state constitution in the 70s, maybe, voted in. And I think I was at a conference this week, and Mississippi was the last one to change before us, and so leaving us as the only one left. And so ideally, everywhere else, cities are able to get a portion of property tax.
Okay.
And that's a controversial topic. There's states like Texas that are talking about trying to abolish the property tax, even though the entire school system is funded by property tax.
Yeah.
So in Oklahoma, property tax funds the county government, the public school system, the library systems, and health departments and technology centers. Yeah. And so ideally, property tax is more reliable. It's more consistent. It doesn't, unlike sales tax, property tax doesn't really decrease.
Okay.
And there's a whole argument about that and how property tax impacts, like ever increasing property taxes in places impacts low income residents, elderly, and things like that. But sales tax is really regressive, especially for lower income people, paying more of a part of their income for essential goods. So in my perfect world, if Norman was able to utilize property tax to fund essential services like police and fire and just public safety stuff even, that would be a huge thing. Police and fire make up half of our budget. So just those two alone. They're 24-hour services. They serve the whole city, and they're, you don't get a bill if you call them.
So it's crazy to me, like, one of the things I love about visiting town is, like, we're seeing, like, the Resonator, hello, Blue Bonnet, OSC Press, all of the, like, even Uncanny. Like, these are all people that I know.
Yeah.
They're friends of mine.
Yeah.
And they own these businesses on the main streets. It's like Disney World, right?
There are no corporate chain businesses down here. These are all locally owned, small businesses for the most part.
Well, can you talk to like I have my friends in Austin, the idea of them owning a business in a retail space on a main street is like impossible. Yeah. Because it's $10,000 a month or something, right? How is it possible to do that here for people to just kind of throw open their own thing, start a business, do whatever, right?
Well, we've been fortunate that the majority of people who own buildings down here have not wanted to charge as much rent as they possibly could. They understand the market, I think. We have building owners down here that would rather have a business in there than a vacant building for 5 years.
Okay,
And it's something we struggle with on our campus corner, which is our kind of university bar district. There's multiple buildings that are empty and have been empty for years, even though it's a very dense, very busy area, as you've been there, campus corner.
Yeah.
And yet there's buildings that have been vacant for a number of years because...
And it didn't used to be that way.
No,
like campus corner used to be the place.
It used to be like Main Street is now.
Right.
And so
why did that happen?
Different values of building and property owners on campus corner who want to maximize every cent that they can probably try to get out of it, and are willing to leave. They're willing to have their building sit vacant for multiple years, the better part of a decade in some cases, rather than lowering the rent for something to go in.
Not benefiting anybody.
Right, not benefiting anybody. And so, thankfully, Main Street and downtown, that's been a different attitude with the building property owners, is they've been willing to not only invest in their buildings, but make rent affordable enough where, like I said, there's really no corporate chain businesses down here. It's all locally owned small businesses. We're really fortunate because, like you mentioned, in Austin, I don't know what's left of Austin's original Main Street, but
well, to be fair, there's
no one could afford.
There's like 15 of them. So something we haven't even talked about, and I did allude to it earlier, was like the art scene here. We've talked a little bit about that, but like, what's NMF? How did that come about? How has that changed the city? Yeah,
Norman Music Festival. Almost like something I could have only dreamed of happening. To have a real organic festival come up just a few years after the city started making those public investments into Main Street and new sidewalks and all that stuff. Yeah. And then to have the community come together. If anybody's ever been to South by, it's like that, but smaller, and it's free. Yeah. And it's less scary. And it's still really, local based. There's a few corporate sponsors, but it's not run by corporate sponsors. And so it's a lot of locally owned businesses contributing, locally owned local individuals just contributing and donating their own money, time, volunteering to organize the festival every year. And then, being able to close down Main Street and have stages at both ends and all in between, and have tens of thousands of people filling up downtown Norman.
Yeah.
And the overhead shots of it, some of the drone shots of the festival at night are just really, again, something I could have only dreamed about as a kid.
Yeah.
Thinking about, oh, it'd be so great if our downtown had activity and things going on.
Hey, it's the mayor.
To his brand, and when we say, we're only saying
So-
you're doing fine.
What are things that like you guys are facing now in City Hall?
Our biggest issues really deal a lot with housing affordability. Property's always been cheap in Oklahoma, and people have been flocking here.
I'm kind of surprised for you to say that because it feels like that's what's happening everywhere else.
Yeah, well,
But
it
it's
is.
still happening
it's
here
true.
too. Okay.
And but especially here because of Oklahoma being one of the cheapest places when it comes to land, and just one of the cheapest places to live in general, low taxes and all that. And so people flocking here from all over the country to buy up cheap land.
Okay.
And you can build a really big house in Norman or anywhere in Oklahoma for a lot less than what, in Texas or California or a whole lot of other states. So that's creating a lot of problems for our existing residents, given the fact that Oklahoma is a pretty poor state, a lot of Oklahomans can't afford to keep up with the rising cost of rent and utilities, which continue to increase. OG&E and electric, I've lost track of how many rate increases they've had over the last just 5 years. And so it's becoming a real challenge for a lot of our longtime residents to continue being able to afford to live in Norman. And being raised by a single dad growing up here and living in an apartment, 2-bedroom apartment near campus, like I worry about Norman continuing to be a place where that's possible. And you think of all the restaurants and retail businesses, all the kind of lower or minimum wage jobs that we have, and where are all those people supposed to live if they're working in Norman? And if they can't live in Norman, then they have to commute to Norman. And how are they going to afford that?
Yeah.
So that is one of the things that really, that we're really dealing with. It's a major contributor to an increase in homelessness, is people losing their job, losing their housing. And so one of my big philosophies is if we can keep people from becoming homeless in the first place, then it's going to be a lot cheaper for us as a society to address that situation. And the less likely people are going to develop mental health issues or addiction issues, or just accelerate those issues if they already have them, if they end up on the street and they're there for a long time. So,
which is more expensive for the city.
Yes, and so that's the real big challenge that we're facing, that, as you mentioned, cities everywhere. That's a big one, and then we have a big turnpike proposal in Norman. We have a very controversial arena entertainment district proposal, and then just homelessness and housing. Those are the three major issues that we're dealing with in Norman.
So where are we?
We are in
mention.
the interior of Norman City Hall, and this specific building is where we have our city council meetings, and is where the administration offices are for the city manager and the city attorney, and also the mayor. So in our form of government, which is called a council manager form of government, we have a 9-member city council, which is, in the business world, you could think of us as the board of directors for the company. The mayor is the chair of the board, and then we hire a professional CEO who runs the city.
Okay.
And so the city manager is the person that the city council hires, and then that person administers the day-to-day operations of the city of Norman. And so they're in charge of all the city departments, they're in charge of the city budget, and they're in charge of implementing the policy that the city council approves.
Right on.
And so, and then of the 9 of us, 5 of us could vote to part ways with that city manager, and it takes 5 to hire one as well. So
Right on.
this is where we have our council meetings also, and I'll take you guys into
I want to see that.
to the council chamber. We can see all of that.
Cool.
So yeah, this is the council chamber. All the votes are made, and
You guys get to sit in the cool chairs.
yeah. So the mayor is right here,
Sweet.
right in front, and the public podium. I talk about this a lot because city council, your local government is the only form of government where there is a public podium. Mm-hmm. There is no public podium at the state capitol or in Washington, D.C. There is no opportunity for the public to speak and give their opinion before the elected body votes on anything, directly anyway. And so what I love about local government and city council is the ability for the public to show up here at our meetings and stand at this podium and address us directly with their support, objection, opinions to whatever it is that we're voting on. So, and sometimes that it isn't very friendly, as you can imagine. And there's lots of videos of council meetings around the country that are real interesting with some interesting characters, and we've had our fair share of those. But it's what I really love about this level of government is the transparency, the access, and just the ability for the public to directly participate. So
What would you like to leave as your legacy, or really more, what do you want to see the city become?
yeah, I want to, again, just make sure that Norman continues to be a place that can foster opportunity just like I had growing up here. Norman should be a place where a kid like me has the opportunity to grow up and become mayor.
Yeah.
I don't have a college degree. I'm a college dropout. Graduated from Norman High, and just a hometown kid that had a real interest in city planning and stuff at a young age, and
Clearly.
and then had an kind of an experience that motivated me to want to run for city council. So that's what I hope to. How to do that is a good question, but that's the type of Norman I want to leave a legacy of, is just the community, a place where people can afford to be here and live here and work here and enjoy their life here, however it is.
Okay.
Mayor. Mayor.
Ben, you should come in and walk past me.
Yeah.
And then, okay, when I turn,
Not in here for sure.
I've heard a little bit about this, but what's the Friendly Market?
Friendly Market is a business that I've worked for it was 10 years last week, actually.
Oh, right on.
Started off as glass pipes and accessories and furniture and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And then evolved into the medical marijuana business, but not after a very public and lengthy legal ordeal over whether glass pipes are drug paraphernalia or not. Norman Police Department and the local district attorney. We went through 3 criminal trials in front of juries, 2 clerks, myself, and the owner. And we got 27 not guilty verdicts for possession of drug paraphernalia. And a district court ordered them to return all the property they had taken from the store. They appealed that decision to the state Supreme Court, and then the state Supreme Court ruled in our favor unanimously and ordered them to return all the property that the police had taken. And so we were able to reopen Friendly Market after being closed for almost 2 years. And then 8 months later, the voters of Oklahoma approved medical marijuana.
So that seems like kind of insane, first of all. You know, Oklahoma's clearly a very conservative place, right?
Yes.
Like, it doesn't seem rational that this would be a place where you had an issue with glass pipes at the store you were working with, and then end up being on city council.
Yeah.
Like, in this state.
And I was on city council at the time.
Oh,
and
right.
I got reelected right before I went on trial.
Okay.
And I was facing 13 combined charges, 12 misdemeanors and 1 felony for the money in the store they claim was drug proceeds. So, being the general manager of the store, I somehow got the same charges as the owner of the store.
So I guess my question really is like, out of this insanity, like, that has to say something about this community, or that it's not just hillbillies and cows, you know what I mean? Like that there's something else going on here.
The support was real bipartisan too.
Oh,
Republicans
really?
and Democrats. I mean, 99% of the public was like, this is ridiculous. Why are the police, why in the third largest city in the state with a major university are the police and the district attorney worried about this little store that sells glass pipes?
Right.
Even if they were being used for marijuana, who cares?
Yeah.
But there was no marijuana involved in our case at all. The whole thing was about whether they might be used for it.
Right.
After someone else buys them.
Yeah, that seems like Nixon era.
Yeah,
Policies.
and so a lot of people, even, I mean, a really interesting ally was a lot of gun rights advocates were concerned about the government, the police saying, we think this item's going to be used for this illegal purpose.
Right.
So the item is default illegal to have. So then the government could say, well, we know what guns are going to be used for, so they're therefore de facto illegal. So we had support. We had some police chiefs and officers. One police chief from a small town in Oklahoma wrote a support letter for us about the legality of the whole issue, and then the citizens put forward an initiative petition to legalize medical marijuana, and it passed by almost 60%.
Yeah, that I think almost that is the weirdest part of all of this to me, is that Oklahoma's had legal weed for a while now.
Yeah, since 2018.
And I mean, considering this is a state where like it was illegal to have a tattoo parlor until like 2000 something, right?
Yeah, 2004. It shocked elected officials at the state level too, who were very anti-marijuana. So you can imagine the conflict of voters approving this, and now the people who have to implement it are like diametrically opposed to this whole thing.
Yeah.
They do not support it.
And
now they have to implement it somehow.
That's another, like a perfect example of voting locally, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because like, it doesn't really, what happens on the national level, in my opinion, is far less important than what's going on in your city.
The local stuff more directly impacts your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
National stuff has an impact on all of us for sure, but local stuff is everyday stuff, and it's where you have the most opportunity, like I mentioned earlier, to have direct involvement in changing it.
It's showing up at the podium. Yeah. So like, since I grew up here, like there's not a lot of diversity, right? And there hasn't been in the past, right?
When you look at the demographics of Norman, it would not be considered very racially diverse.
Okay.
There are other diversity measures you can look at where it is more so. And it can also be a matter of perspective about where in Norman you grew up, like I did.
Okay.
Growing up on the east side and going to Kennedy and going to school with a lot of kids who lived in apartments, whose parents were foreign exchange students at OU. I grew up thinking Norman was much more diverse than it actually is. And then getting to high school and then looking more into actual data and statistics like I like to do, finding out that it's not numbers wise, but the part of Norman I grew up in was.
Okay.
And I mean, my elementary school was very diverse as far as racial diversity and even income and different things like that. Different types of households, 2-parent household, 1-parent household. So yeah, Norman's not as diverse as it may seem.
I guess
for some.
One thing I'm curious about, because there's a legacy of this being a sundown town.
Yes.
Until the 1960s, which when I read that, it was hard to believe. That was that long, like very recent history, right?
In our parents' lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely. My mom was living here as a kid, and it was still a sundown town.
The ordinance existed until the late 60s. It, from everything I understand, was not being enforced anymore as into the 50s.
Okay.
But it was still on the books until the late 70s, or late 60s.
Yeah.
And that's when the signs came down, from what I understand, it's the late 60s. And that's when the first It's when the Hendersons, Dr. George Henderson, Barbara Henderson, purchased a home in Norman on Osborne Drive, and they were the first black couple to purchase a home and own a home in Norman in 1967 or 8.
That's wildly very recent.
People think it's this long time ago thing, and it's really it's in our parents' generation, and not far removed from when we were born. And it's hard for some to come to terms with, because a lot of people, like myself, growing up thinking Norman is kind of it's a college town and it's laid back and everybody here is real accepting of of others, and then finding out that history of Norman, that people fled the big city to Norman to get away from
the white flight, right? The 50s
they didn't
and
want to
60s.
live around minorities and minority neighborhoods, and they didn't want to live in a place where minorities were allowed to own property. So
what's kind of interesting to me is like Oklahoma historically is because of the land run, because of the removal of Native Americans to here.
Yes.
Like it's a state of immigrants.
Yes.
Right?
The whole state, everybody.
But it's like
even Native Americans, many of them were forced to come here, like on the Trail of Tears. So this land its history is people coming from other places and setting up. Oklahoma has been a place that does attract immigrants, foreign exchange students coming to OU, and then deciding they like being here and wanting to stay here. And there's a lot of real prominent people in Norman doctors and elected officials, and
there's a lot of intelligence
that have come here from another country originally, maybe to go to OU, and then decided Norman is where they wanted to be permanently.
So what is this? Where are we at?
We're in the Miller Historic District neighborhood, and we're at the Porch Festival, which is organized by residents, completely grassroots organized.
Cool. So people just perform here for free or whatnot? What's going on?
It's a completely free festival. Residents volunteer their front porch, and different local musicians volunteer, I guess, organize, and I guess they might get assigned to different porches, but it's completely organic and locally put together.
Nice.
I'm Daruba's wife.
Oh, wonderful.
He's wanting to talk to you.
We're
doing our fundraiser, but you have that now. I'm
Chris.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, you're great. You're great.
Yes,
That's great.
no, absolutely.
This is Sicilian in me. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
We're so happy.
Thank you so much. I love Drew.
Good for you.
Known him since I was sixth grade at Irving.
Right?
So, yes.
Get ready to play right there.
Oh, awesome. Very good.
All right, go on.
Great to see
We'll
you.
check it out.
All right.
What were you saying again?
So, after World War II, the United States started becoming car dependent, as we are now.
Right.
And everything started spreading out. People started living further and further away from where they lived.
Right.
And the style of houses that we built changed.
Right.
To, instead of these older houses that have character, as I would describe, we started building as many houses as we could to keep up with the baby boom.
Yeah.
Which wasn't a bad thing. But some of the changes led to, now we got to have a place to store this car. Besides a driveway, we need a garage. And so we replaced the front porch with a garage.
Right.
And everybody stopped hanging out in the front porch and started hanging out in their backyards.
Yeah.
And so you start to lose touch with your neighbors.
Yeah.
There's nobody on the front porch watching what's going on the street.
Yeah, so
And
it's suddenly unsafe for the kids.
Yeah, and people start speeding on the street.
Yeah.
It's not as safe for kids to be out.
No.
So newer neighborhoods are starting to go back to, and a lot of newer houses we're seeing are putting front porches in again. And, and so that's a little thing that's worth looking up if people are really interested in how communities and things have changed. To me, this is what being in a community is all about, what living in a city is about, and part of the thing that makes me so excited to have the opportunity to be mayor of a place like this.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's awesome, man. It's an awesome day. It's great seeing you, man.
it's absolutely
Cool.
great to see you too, and thank you so much, Ben.
Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you later. I don't know. I don't know why I said see you later.
Chicken.
No, I think the rest is great. She loves the hair. She does not like it.
You dropped that hot dog.